the topic that we are going to speak, was, all my childhood. Because my childhood was like growing up in the culture of Tantra. Truly that kind of childhood is not there anymore. Not in India. India is, a colonial hub. It's been colonized. It has been colonized for too long. They won't say, for distance, how far are you going? They won't say in Hindi or Sanskrit or Tamil. They will say how many kilometers. And so colonization is very strong and very beautiful because you see, they will say how many kilometers. Milk, they will say how many liters. So colonization is very strong in the Indian culture, Indian mind, today's Indian mind. But I grew up with cows. Do you understand why I grew up with cows? Because I escaped all this. There's no colonization in my jungle. There was only cows. Totally escaped. So then coming to school is where I was studying all the, topics and science and this and that. And I am coming from a very good school. My school is, it is a donation by a king. Donation means most people give you a building and run away, but this king is not like that. He gave the culture, he gave the money, he gave the support, he also gave the curriculum. The curriculum is from the Swiss way of educating children. He was giving all that. So I'm very lucky to be coming from that school, and they treated you as an independent human being, Psychologically, they based themselves on Jean, I think I say it rightly, Jean Piaget. His system of thinking, his system of psychology. And I was brought up in that way also. I'm very privileged. Like much later, Osho said, you are very privileged. I am very privileged. I have to say that. Why not? So then I was going to the school and then I was telling, all the schools. My teachers are also very beautiful teachers, very forward. My primary one teacher, his name is Chia Sin Bun. He always comes in the morning and then he always gives a good kiss to his girlfriend. He was not married that time. We are 7-year-olds. And he just does kiss her every day. And he really takes care of her. Very beautifully he handles the situations, So it was a very beautiful way of seeing the morning. Lot of love, lot of care. He's really super caring human being. So I grew up like this. And then whenever sometimes I run away, I used to go to the stream at the back, very far in the jungle, and look for this goldfish. And my poor teacher, he used to look for me. But not one day he told me off, scolded me, nothing. He just come, he sit with me for a while, then he'll hold my hand and take me back to the classroom. Beautiful teachers, very beautiful teacher. I will cut short with all the teachers because it goes on. Such a privileged school I had. In school, I was taught all this, so modern science, So then I grew up with this modern science as the backdrop of my life. And then it made me contrast this with the Tantric teachings that my grandmother was offering. And that, what she offered was very different from the planet. The whole experience is different. And so then my auntie came. She has got a master's degree in women study. So she introduced to me all these, modern social science and all that, and corrected my understanding of psychology even when I was a kid. I was very interested in psychology. It was very accidentally I got into psychology because my father gave me many, many books. This Encyclopedia Britannica, Encyclopedia, that one, all the encyclopedia I had. In one of the encyclopedias, I saw a trolley, a pig pushing a trolley with a chef's hat. And in the trolley was a lump of thing called ham. So I didn't know what was a ham, I mean, how would I think about ham? So I was looking at the dictionary. With the encyclopedia comes two big dictionary, A to L and L to Z. So I looked for ham and I got depressed because ham is a part of a pig. And the photograph shows a pig pushing the trolley. And the trolley, the pig is wearing a proper chef's hat. So it was a black and white picture, and underneath was the writing. It said, B.F. Skinner. I was depressed because I was only about 7, and I was like, what kind of human being is this that make this kind of pictures? Which made a pig push its own brother's body in a trolley, and here is supposed to be a wise man from the United States of America called B.F. Skinner. This depressed me. This is how I got into psychology, with this depression. Before this grandpa, there was another one, Pavlov. Pavlov is this wise man of Russia. And Pavlov was, making punctured holes into the dogs and checking for salivation. Ding, ding, and the dogs will salivate. And this is another pioneer in conditioning. And so I used to joke that this Pavlov God was making experiment on the limited mind of that scientist. And the dog were witnesses. The dogs witnessed the whole thing and rejoiced when the nurse came. He said, here is something of compassion coming. And there is a crackpot called scientist. So this is how I got into studying psychology at the age of 7. So then I went into Sherrington, the nervous system, Watson, the grandfather of American psychology, John Watson. So I was going into all these things very young, because I had a good grandpa who taught me English very well. So I could read all these books happily. And I got a good grandma who taught me Tantra. And I'm in the jungle. So this is how I grew up. Then my auntie came and she polished my understanding on Freud, Sigmund Freud. Actually, till today, I have a different understanding of Freud than the professional, institutions. They are very limited in the understanding of Freud. I have better. But maybe Anna Freud forgot something. Anna Freud is Freud's daughter. She might have forgotten something. Because she was Anna and small. Papa Freud was old and with cigar. So anyway, we'll talk about all that another time. But so this is how it was very funny that the way I grew up was like, school was fun because Grandpa used to teach me. Every day after 6 o'clock, Grandpa will teach me. Until 8 o'clock, grammar and mathematics. And then after that, I have dinner, and then slowly at 9 o'clock, I go to sleep. So this is how I grew up. So this is how I grew, and my grandmother was talking about this Markandeya Purana. Markandeya Purana was very interesting. All I was hearing from my grandma was this Markandeya, Markandeya, Markandeya. She would be talking about Markandeya, and I think like, what is this sound? Because Indians have names like Armugam, Sivananda, Vishnu Devananda. These are Indian names. This word Markandeya is very, very obscene for me. When I was a kid, like, what is this Markandeya, Markandeya, And she used to talk about this Taittiriya Aranyaka, Taittiriya Purana. So she explained all this to me, when I was a kid. So for me, I, put up with grandma, whatever she says. She's a very beautiful person, beautiful, very, very, very great cook. And so I used to enjoy her company all the time. And, Markandeya was weird for me. But then, later I was reading Markandeya Purana, and now I love it because it's a very interesting tantra. It's a one tantra that not much scholarship has been done on. Scholars don't want to look into this tantra. They look into, other tantras. Scholars like tantras that are easier, that you can understand. They professionally paid human beings, and I don't know why we are so afraid of scholarship. That's a fear that comes in preschool, From preschool, we are frightened of education. And then we are like, wow, scholar. He's a scholar. It means nothing to me. Because I'm an initiated tantric. So initiation taught me many things. And for me, it's like, okay, nice scholarship, nice scholars. They're my friends. I have many, many friends in the world of scholarship. Not only Tantra, actually outright physicists. So like this is the way I was looking at the world. But then I was always like in the school, they were telling other things, opposite of what my grandmother was talking about, God and this and that. The school was talking the other way around. Not in the Asian schools, in the Malaysian schools, you don't talk too much the other way because there is Islamic children, there is Christian children, there's Hindu children, there is Buddhist children, there is Taoist children. So they don't really talk too bad, but they give you this kind of thinking that, if you are studying all these ancient things, you're kind of a backdated grandson of the dinosaur or something like this. Wow. They give you that feeling, that you are like kind of leftover.
Yeah, old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned. We are very old-fashioned. 1776. We are that old-fashioned. 1776 was the day yeah. Okay, coming back to our, topic. Then this Markandeya Purana became part of my life, And then, that is where I see Tantra differently because I am very, very well versed with these Markandeya Puranas, Taittiriya Aranyaka, Taittiriya Brahmana, Taittiriya Upanishad, and that way I'm coming. Then when I grew up, there was this much talk about, but because of Swami Lakshman, there's much talk about Trika, all this kind of stuff. Actually, not even Swami Lakshman, it is this Jaideva Singh, he published all these books. And with the help of Motilal, Banarsidass. Motilal, Banarsidass are my friends. When I go to Delhi, I sometimes eat in their house only. They make excellent parota.
Oh.
Aloo parota, that potato inside the parota.
Yeah.
So, but the older generations passed away. The ones I know, they passed away. There are some still, they are alive. They are very nice people. So I know them from 17 years old. So this way, the tantric, formal studies were enforced into me, by my grandma. She was studying, teaching, and also like the walking massage that we do, the entire idea of massage. She taught me. She set a Friday aside for only massage. Scalp massage, walking massage. The walking massage saves a lot of time. It's a very wonderful massage system. Then slowly she taught me asanas, and sun salutation. The sun salutation, ours is very unique, Everybody calls sun salutation, but ours is different because we are tantrics. In India there was a physical culture because the India was colonized, and the Indians followed the English mainly and Europeans. So the English and the Europeans, they were doing the march past. You remember left, right, left, 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 right, left, and nothing left and nothing right. You know that song they sang and killed every brother of their own. So the Indian followed this, left, right, left, 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 right, left, nothing left and nothing right. And what really happened was, this was their role model, physical culture, physical education. So they jump into the morning, into the meadows. You can call it a park. They jump there and they do some physical culturing. This physical culturing was the, physical culturing. Remember, hear me well. Physical culturing. There is a very, very strong colonial influence over here. Very, very strong colonial influence. Okay? Hey, I'm telling you. 1, bend backward. 2, bend forward. 3, Achvachanchala asana. The authority must be there. A science that has no authority, a science that stands against authority, is called yoga. A science of total freedom. But here is the authority man with his Air India moustache. Air India and Hair India are similar. I can speak because I'm Indian, Can't I speak about myself? So we are so colonized. So we were jumping around like frogs in the meadow in the morning. Now, none of the Indians like me. I don't think anybody will like me anyway. So I carried on. So this was what they were doing. Yoga was talking something else. Yoga is a philosophy, a science, a spiritual culture. Spiritual culture. India was drinking the spirit that was given to them by the colonial grandfather. So, this is how the Indians were doing their Surya Namaskar, but it's very different from what the yoga school is talking about. There are 12 mantras and they got only 10 positions. And then if you go higher gurus, it becomes 6 mantras. 6 postures and 12 mantras. Confuse me. There are 12. Now 12 mantras for each asana, a mantra. No. And this comes from the Ramayana. There are 224 mantras in the Ramayana for sun, the Lord Sun, the Divine Sun. And then you have a summary of 12. But the asanas seem to be less. See, when you ask these kind of questions, nobody likes you. But I will ask. No. We have a right to ask, Gandhi said that.
Yes.
Every human being cannot keep quiet. If you keep quiet, then wars persist, abuses persist. But if you talk, all the crooks go and hide. And no war. The whole idea of war is because crooks are prancing around, exploiting human beings for their benefit, So anyway, the colonial gurus of India, this is what I'm talking, they elect themselves. They put on a turban, turban. They put on a bloody pillow on their head or some cloth like this, like that, fanciful. And the Western people see it as authentic traditions coming down in a lineage before Christ, after Christ, 1,000 years, 2,000 years of connectivity. So when I say this, then everybody dislike me. Instead of saying, okay, let us find out the real meaning of spiritualism, let us really understand and really live by it, there will be a healthy human being. So then I have to talk about martial arts because I grew up in the world of martial arts. Penang is a Chinese place as well as an Indian place and Malay place. So the three cultures are what I have. Islam is a very strong part of my life because my friends are all Islamic children. I grew up with them in school. Chinese children. Taoism is part of my life. I speak Chinese, I speak Hokkien. I'm not that good in Hokkien, but I'm very fluent in Malay, Indonesian. I don't have these limited language skills. I speak at least about 14 languages well. I don't know. The other day I counted, it became 40. But never mind. Let's sit with 14. So when you are looking at it, many things, what I'm talking about, they are cultural hand-me-downs. It is like a system given to you, a system that becomes you. You know, a system that totally becomes you. You know, that's how I see my students. You know, I give the system to them. So I was doing martial arts very seriously. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. I did karate before that. I did karate and Taekwondo because you see, Taekwondo, for all its beauty, it kicks very flamboyantly. But it doesn't have any philosophy. Because the founder of Taekwondo, the modern founder of Taekwondo, General Choi Hong-hee, he wanted it to be modern, you know. So in the process of modern, we lose the ancient. So then I had to, no choice but to go to the karate world to understand meditation, how to meditate in the world of martial arts. The Chinese teacher was my father's friend, Master Tengju. He taught me Kung Fu. So I learned Kung Fu from him. Learned Taekwondo. Every day I used to go to the Taekwondo school. You know, my school comes from Master Kim Jong-chan. He's in Canada now. He is the founder of my school. You know, then there was, you know, with him and under him, Master Kor Chin Wat. Master Kor Chin Wat was a very beautiful fighter. He settled down in the US. You know, so like this, I have like 32 teachers. My school is a very prominent school. So 32 teachers, I got to speak. You know, I'm not a pauper. I got 32 teachers in the martial arts world. I mean, this is only Taekwondo. What about my Kung Fu teacher? What about the karate teacher? The karate teachers were so well informed in meditation because they always looked up at Zen. So very young, I already got into, you know, these Japanese systems of thinking. In fact, you know, I understand the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi bloody well. I can say very well. I can say very proudly better than any Japanese in Japan. I have to say, unfortunately, because when you are given something, you have to say. I have no choice. The information that I was given was from one master from Kuala Lumpur, Master Chu Sut, his name. He was very old, I was a kid. But he explained so beautifully the concept of meditation and everything that I am forever indebted to him. So that I adopted and put it into my Taekwondo practice. You know, the seriousness, the culture, everything. The culture of practice. Which means every day I'm meditating for 2 hours continuously. Because martial arts is moving meditation. Every day I'm meditating 2 hours quietly from 8 to 10 every day. You know, so therefore I think that this meditation helped me understand the spiritual philosophy very well. And then much later, I'm cutting short actually, it's a lot more story about how I grew up anyway. So much later, when I was about 16, 17, these highest karate master from Japan arrived accidentally into my building. My building, where we do the Taekwondo, is a temple. The top floor is a temple, and we practice there. It's a Chinese temple. And downstairs is all the hall and everything. So there was a very old man, and this old man, when we practice, we put away all the tables, chairs, everything, like maybe 20 table, 20 big, big chairs, very big. So he was too old to lift this. So nobody, everybody after the training is over, they scooted. Everybody left. I was the only guy who was carrying all these tables for this man, because this man was very old. He was in his 70s, and he can't carry. His health was failing. He was like the caretaker of the building. So then I was carrying all, packing everything properly for him. Then as I was coming down the stairs, I saw this figure. This very, very honored, popular Japanese master called Gogen Yamaguchi. He had long hair up to his bum. He always carries his katana, the sword. He carried the sword, and then he bowed. He was standing in the doorway, the entrance, and he bowed. His bow is magical. His bow. Forget the rest. He bowed, and then his hair flew, and then he stood up, and then the hair went back. And then he made like this, and everything went back to its place. And I was coming down, and I was like, wow, Because until then, I hated the Japanese karate and all that. And I didn't appreciate except the meditation. And for a kid, meditation is okay, it's something that you got to put up with. But this man, his bow, wow. So I came down, and he stood there. He's like a mountain. He doesn't, he's really weird. If you see that movie, that Matrix, there is a fight scene there, a karate fight scene. And that's based on his fight. He fights like that. Nobody else fights like that. Bruce Lee fight differently. But Master Gogen Yamaguchi fight like that. So then he came looking for his karate students. These karate boys, they ran away. They left him there and ran away because they were shy. It's really an amazing man. Even that time, he was in his 60s when I met him. And even that time, he had about 10,000 students in the USA. He's a big guy. He's nothing like me. He's a big human being, And with 3 other members, his son and a monk and another person. They were all 4 of them traveling together. So anyway, so I met him. I was going around, taking him around in Malaysia, listening to him. Fortunately, he's a great meditator. Yeah. So he was a great meditator and a lover of yoga. Those days, I'm talking 1976 or 7, that time, not even 1976. And he used to meditate. He explained to me that he meditated in a stream, waterfall, and the water will fall on his head, and he sit there and meditate every morning. I think it's like 10 meters high, water, and he will meditate.
Very strong.
Yeah, he's very strong. He's another world. I mean, for Matrix to make their movie based on his fighting system, he must be a very, very unique person. So anyway, I grew up like this. My Taekwondo teacher is, General Choi Hong Hee, General of Korea. Please. He came to Malaysia in 1966 as an ambassador. I was already taller than him at the age of 10. He's small. So, I really am privileged. I grew up with this kind of environment. I'm saying all these things so that one of these days my students will feel proud about our system. Our system is very unique. We embrace every philosophy. We look at every philosophy in the most beautiful way. We look at Christianity, we look at Islam, we find the beauty in them rather than politicize them. You know, one of the reasons why I criticize the modern Indian gurus is because they're so political. You look at Islam as political. Look at Christianity as political. You look at Veda as political. You look at Tantra as political. Hey, you're supposed to transcend these lower emotions. And you're preaching this. You're dividing humanity. So that's why I'm not happy with you. That's why I think that you're not qualified to be a teacher. Divide and rule was a primitive machine of the English. It's not anything to do with a guru. So, this was the backdrop of how I was brought up. The reason why I'm talking about all this is because, you know, the spiritual world is united. The political world is divided. You know, you want to settle for some cheap guru in India, you settle. You settle. You settle. You go and, you know, carry his garbage. You know, you can say many things. You know how I look at Indian cheap gurus? You want to hear? You know, in the past there was this box camera.
Yeah.
And then they put the camera there. And then they put Dracula's underwear on their head.
Yes.
And look through that hole. You're omniscient. You're omniscient because you look through that freaking hole. You know? That is how I see. You know? What to do? You put yourself in that hole and what will I do? Say, ha 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 ha, Rumi is singing songs. I will say, fuck off. You know, I've got many words, but I don't want to say now. And so let's go back to our, you know. So when we grow up in this kind, we accept human beings. We accept cultures. We accept the knowledge system. Fortunately for me, the knowledge system is analogous. I'm not a liberal person, you know, like some Biden pretending to be liberal and ha ha ha, hoo hoo hoo. I'm not an American, I'm a bloody Malaysian. I'm never going to be a liberal. But when facts are facts, I have to state it as facts. So they are analogous. Well, I accept it. What can I do? They're analogous. You know, every religion is speaking on soul. Did I put there in the Quran in the past, or in the Christianity in the past, or the Vedanta in the past? Did I wrote all those books? Books were written, man. So the concept of soul in, you know, different language. Atman in Sanskrit, Roh in Arabic, soul in English. But what's different? What is so different? You know, I always joke and say, you know, the chair is the chair. When you put your ass on it, it still is a chair. You know, you may call it kursi in Hindi, kursi in Arabic. You know, you may have different terms for that damn chair. But what is the relationship of your ass and the chair is the same. And if you cannot understand this much, I don't want to know you. You better go and hang yourself. You can call yourself Guru, Rugu, Ruru. I care a damn what pillow you put on your head. Or you go, no head, no hair. I care a damn. What you churn out is what I want to know. You are posing yourself as an intelligent wise man and conning all the children. Children getting conned, wasting their lives, wasting their time listening to Alibaba stories. I'm saying there's something lacking. Yoga is not a dumb science. Yoga is not for dumb beings. Yoga is very intelligent. That you don't know how to read the book is your problem, no? The Jagu Vasudev was telling, you know, he never read anything. Hey, we have a culture. We are brought up in a system. If you don't read anything, we give you a rickshaw. Go and pedal it. No. Just go and fuck yourself. Don't call yourself a guru, you So he didn't shit for 13 days, he became enlightened. Can you believe these kind of things that people are talking in this time? He's saying, I can put the video up. He didn't shit for 13 days, so he's enlightened. I didn't shit for 15 days. What the fuck are you talking about? You know, India is degraded. I'm appalled. I'm an Indian. I'm a Malaysian Indian. I have both sides to speak for. You know, well, let's come to that. All these creepy guys later.